on behalf of the Dean's Ambassadors Council. The DAC is a leadership council with the School of Social Sciences where we plan, host academic and social events throughout the school year in order to foster a sense of community between the professors and the students and within each department. So you'll see us hosting a number of events this year. And today I'd like to introduce you to the Chicano Latino Studies Department. So please welcome Professor Glenda Flores, Associate Professor and Undergrad Director, Professor Belinda Campos, Associate Professor and Department Chair, Professor Raul Fernandez, and then we have SSARC staff member Carissa Sorensen, and Academic Counselor Elizabeth Cervantes, and Jocelyn Peron, a recent alumni. So they're going to be here to present and answer any questions you may have at the end of the presentation during the Q&A portion of the event. If you have any questions towards the end, feel free to go into the Q&A window that's located at the bottom of your screen, and you can submit any questions and we'll be happy to answer them. So Professor Flores, you may start.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Chicano Latino Studies Department orientation. I'm so glad to be here with all of you today and share some information about our department. Professor Belinda Campos will be with us shortly, and Professor Raul Fernandez is also here. So what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you all can have access to the information for our department. I know, at least I think I know, that yesterday you all received some information, like a PDF file with a lot of our flyers and also some important links to our website, which has received some upgrades and some changes, and it'll still be, you know, tinkered with. But what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint. Professor, again, Glenda Flores. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies. If you could hear that little song that was just playing, it was by Celia Cruz. And I'll actually let Professor Raul Fernandez tell us a little bit about the song. I'll play it in the background and at a very low volume, but you can probably, you know, make it higher on your computer.
Okay.
Do you want to tell them about the song, Raul?
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear, I could hardly hear it, but it's a song that came out in the 1940s. It was very popular in Cuba and Mexico. And I think Professor Glenda had a very good idea because the song goes, zoom, 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 ba, ba, eh. And since we're all gonna be zoom, zoom, zooming all year long, it seemed to be a very appropriate song. Okay, so zoom, zoom. I'm sure a lot of you, if you have any background in Latin America, you know, in Mexico, in Latin America, we call the hummingbird, it's called a colibri.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone probably knows that. Colibri is the hummingbird. And then colibri is it's an indigenous name, and there are other indigenous names for the pajarito, and one of them is zunzun. Okay, zunzun. So zunzun is I think is a species of colibri in the Caribbean, and so that song is, you know, celebrates the little hummingbird. You know, the words go pájaro lindo de la madruga. So it's zun 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 bye bye. It also became the theme song of a you know, like a dance production that was very popular in Mexico City, and it shows up in some of those you know, films from the golden age of Mexican cinema in the 50s. You see people dancing and singing to the Sun Sun Baba. So that's it. Is that what you wanted, Professor Flores?
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Fernandez. Part of the reason, again, that I put that song in the PowerPoint, it's very low, but it's so that you can hear us. You can look for it on YouTube where Celia Cruz explains the song to Big Bird on Sesame Street. But basically it's because, you know, we're going to be zooming for this quarter. And I thought, you know, as you go into your classes, it would be good to, you know, have this song in your at the background as you're going to your class to get motivated. But here on this page, you can follow us on our social media. A lot of our social events are posted to Instagram, Twitter, and our Facebook. Our annual theme this year is Los Quince, Legacy, Community, and Adelante. So every year we try to have an annual theme so that we can anchor a lot of our events together. And we decided to pick Los Quince because it's our 15th, you know, anniversary, kind of a play on quinceañera, but it's our 15th anniversary as a department. And so there's a big cake, right? But other things that we've had before are generations. And also, I think last year our theme was Latino/A/X/E. But this year it's Los Quince. So look for events like that that we're gonna have this year. And I hope Professor Belinda Campos is on now so that she can introduce herself and just give, you know, you all a message.
Want to extend my great welcome. Thank you so much for making the time out of your week 0 schedules to be with us and to learn a little bit about us and have some resources, hopefully, that we're able to provide. So, I mean, the first thing I want to say is it's the year 2020, so I think everybody just needs to give themselves a little pat on the back that we're here and we're continuing forward with our education and moving forward, hopefully, with our goals. And I want to say that I hope you're finding a good home here in Chicano Latino Studies, where we take, you know, great pride, not just in the curriculum that we bring you on the Latino experience in all of its different manifestations, but that we also, I think, because we're what is a medium-sized major, I hope that we bring to our students like the personalized attention that you would otherwise only get in a small liberal arts environment. And so I hope that that is your experience. And for that, I say that I hope that you maximize those opportunities. If we are able to provide you this sort of smaller liberal arts environment, then I hope that that means that you'll come and see us during office hours, come and see us at events. You're already here at events and getting to know us a little bit. Hopefully come to feel comfortable getting informal guidance from us. We're here for you. And we take great pride, each and every single one of us in the Faculty of Chicano Latino Studies, in being able to be there for our students in a hands-on way that you might not see in other parts, of the campus. Okay, it says that I might be able to start my video.
There you are.
I am?
Yes.
Ay, qué bueno. Okay, super. Okay, well, here I am. Not on photo anymore. And so anyway, I was just saying, I think that what we are able to provide here in Chicano Latino Studies is an amazing curriculum that gives you both a sense of structure, a sense of culture, a sense of what has been the experience of Latinidad in the United States, with a rich understanding of how what is happening amongst Latinos in Latin America kind of informs the things and doesn't inform the things that have been happening in the United States. So whether it comes to an interest in cultural production, social determinants of health, the specific ways that Latino people experience labor, that they experience health systems, that they experience educational systems. I think that we provide a really unique opportunity to have an in-depth knowledge of those factors and to have it influence everything that you do in the future. So our graduates have gone on to do law degrees, medical degrees, to work in political science spaces and to impact their communities in their own ways. One student that I really well remember from the very first year that I was here was a student who then went on to be like one of the people like bringing about change to his hometown of Bell Gardens when they were having like a local government corruption scandal. And I thought, wow, you know, he was really bringing all the things he had learned in order to enact change for good governance, like in his hometown. And that's just, we have a real pride in that here, I think, in Chicano Latino Studies. So I want to welcome you here. I hope that you feel ready for this upcoming school year. And as you're thinking about what the school year and the next few years of your lives might look like, I want to say a couple things. One, again, I encourage you to get to know us, whether it be through office hours or events. And so you're already here, so you're already doing that. But just to say that these things can lead to, you know, new doors opening, different kinds of guidance, maybe the kinds of direction and letters of recommendation that you might need in the future to pursue your next set of goals. And that in terms of the curriculum, I hope that you're finding that there's many opportunities for you to learn about many different aspects of Latinidad. And that as you think about the role of the major, one of the things about us being able to provide like a small liberal arts intensive student experience is that we have our capstone courses, right? The 102, 101 and 102 series, and they happen sequentially, one in the fall and one in the spring. And this is happens towards your last year. It's sort of the capstone project of what you've learned and your opportunity to say, you know, I've been hearing a lot about the research that other people have done and the things that we know. I would like to study something that brings the knowledge of people into the forefront. And so we hope to give you the tools to be able to do that in this 2-class series. But it's also super helpful if you're able to plan ahead and think about when is the best time of your student life in order to focus on that time. So some of us may be thinking about doing UCDC, which I think is happening via Zoom this year, but in most normal years, it's happening in person. You may be thinking about studying abroad, or you may be doing a double major. So it'll require some thinking and planning on your part to think about like when you can do the 101 and 102 series. So I think that that's just a good thing to be planning ahead for and making sure that you're able to get the most out of the project. And if on your journey to 101 and 102, you're already getting involved in different kinds of research or activism or et cetera, make sure that you bring that with you, because that's going to be part of what maybe helps inform the kind of projects that you're going to want to do in this sort of final awesome part of your time with us as a Chicano Latino Studies major. So I think that's my 2 cents, but if there are any specific questions that you all have that you wanted to know about the department or about your specifics within the department, I would be very happy to hear those questions.
Yeah, so I'm gonna continue with the presentation, and I think there is time for questions after Jocelyn goes. But thank you so much, Professor Campos, for the inspiring words. One of the things in our department is that we have a lot of great faculty, like Professor Campos was saying, and like the work that Professor Fernandez has done on Afro-Cuban music. A lot of our faculty members are part of the First Generation Faculty Initiative, and that's a lot of our students are also first generation college students, meaning that they're the first in their family to go to college. So we do make a lot of effort to try to make students feel incorporated and, you know, welcomed in our department. So I also have some trivia questions about some faculty members. So which faculty member grew up in a mixed status family and attended UCI as an undergrad? And that one, of course, is me. I was an undergrad at UCI, really happy to be here as faculty. One of my majors was Chicano Latino Studies, the other one was Spanish, and then I went on to get a doctoral degree in sociology, and I do my research on Latino professionals. And I'll talk about other faculty members that we have and their research interests. But we're gonna have a lot of events this year. You're more than welcome to come. Please look out for them. One of them, again, is our Los Quince event, where we're gonna have panelists that started the Chicano Latino Studies department. So what was the original vision and where are we headed in the future? Some of the people that are going to be there are Professor Emeritus Raul Fernandez, distinguished Professor Leo Chavez, who's in anthropology and has done a lot of work on Latinos, especially Latinos in medicine and their experiences in the healthcare arena. And hopefully Professor Emeritus Vicky Ruiz will also be able to join us, who's a historian and really started to write, you know, the Latina or women's experiences into history. So you can, you know, feel free to attend this one, and they are posted on our social media pages. Another event that we're gonna have is Afro-Latinidades in Central America with Professor Gonzalez Rivera. who's of Nicaraguense origins, and she's going to talk on Latinx anti-Black sentiments, but also how it's very nuanced and understood, you know, in Nicaragua and in parts of Central America. So that's going to be on October 22nd. So please feel free to attend this one as well. All of these events also count towards our certificate program that we have in Chicano Latino Studies, and I'll talk about those momentarily. We'll also have another event on Gentified. So last year we had a discussion on Gentified, the series on Netflix. And you know, we were able to talk a lot about gentrification, identity. This event is going to be sponsored by, I think moderated by Professor Ana Rosas, who's coming at this through a historian angle. Professor Ana Rosas has done research on women, right, who were also part of the Bracero program, even though they remained behind. So how they took care of the family while their husbands were abroad working. So she's going to talk about the representation of community and family in this show. And then another event that we're gonna have, this one is co-hosted with the Latinx Resource Center on campus. Definitely encourage you to attend La Bienvenida if you haven't RSVP'd for that event. But this one is gonna be on HSI institutions with Dr. Gina Garcia, who wrote a book titled Becoming HSI. So what does it look like for schools to be serving and not just enrolling, right? So I think part of the mission of Chicano Latino Studies is to actually serve students of Latinx origins. And Professor Gina Garcia will tell us, you know, what does it look like to do this for in universities, in institutions. So feel free to attend this one as well. And they will all be posted to our social media pages. So here's another fun fact, which faculty member in our department began the first generation college students program. And that was Professor Anita Casavantes Bradford. So Professor Casavantes Bradford is of Cuban background, and she's written on, you know, the experiences of children, or she focuses on children and youth and how the revolution, right, in Cuba was kind of framed as it being for the children. And now she's writing a book on children, unaccompanied minors, and other children who have been displaced from their home countries because of immigration policies. Here on this page, you can see some of the core faculty in our department. So again, our chair, Professor Belinda Campos, Professor Casavantes Bradford, who teaches some of our history classes and Chicano Latino Studies 61. I'll talk about our core classes in a minute. Professor Ana Rosas, who's also a historian. Professor Laura Enriquez, who's a sociologist and writes on the undocumented students and also their experiences in romantic relationships. She just published her book called Of Love and Papers, I believe. So I'm sure that you'll also see her presentations on her book, and I would encourage you to attend those. She's very heavily involved with the Dream Center on campus as well. We have Professor Luis DeCipio, who writes on politics, or Latino politics, and I'm pretty sure that he will be giving a lot of interviews, especially with the election coming up this year, and you know, his predictions of what's going to happen. We have Professor Alana Lebron, who does her research. She's in Chicano Latino Studies and Public Health. She's done a lot of work in the community of Santa Ana, specifically looking at, was it lead? No, I can't remember. Yeah, it was lead. Yeah, and how it's affecting, right, people in the community. She's also done a lot of research or work on the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And how it's affecting a lot of immigrant Latino families. And lastly, we also have Professor Hector Tovar, who teaches Chicano Latino Studies 62 for us. Professor Tovar is of Guatemalan origins, and he does literature, Latino literature, poetry. Most students who've taken his class really, enjoy it. We also have our emeritus professors like Professor Raul Fernandez, Professor Alejandro Morales, Professor Gil Gonzalez, and you can see them pictured, in the image that I have here for you all. So what are the requirements for the major in Chicano Latino Studies? So some of you are probably just starting the major. Some of you have probably already been in the major and added it maybe in your junior or senior year. So you must take, 5 courses. These courses are Chicano Latino Studies 61, Chicano Latino Studies 62, and 63. They don't have to be taken in order. They can be taken at a sequence. But these are, the 3 core courses that you have to take. Sometimes it's a good idea to take 61 first because it gives you kind of like a whole overview of the Chicano Latino experience. But again, you don't have to take them in order. And then you also have to take, like Professor Belinda Campos mentioned earlier, Chicano Latino Studies 101 and 102W, which is a 2-quarter sequence course, usually offered in the fall, winter. So in 101, I know a lot of students are sometimes really nervous about carrying out their own research project and thinking, I have to do this myself. Oh my gosh, how do I do this? So in 101, the professor that teaches it this quarter is Professor Alberto Morales. And he, we help you craft your proposal. Like, what is your question? What are the methods that you're going to use? One of the great things of Chicano Latino Studies is that we're an interdisciplinary department, so you can use different methods in your project. It can be statistics, it can be interviews, it can be oral history, or it can be a content analysis, right? So there are a lot of options available. One of the things that's great about our department is that every student that's a major has to do their own research project and present it. Which is not the case for other majors, where students might have to find someone that will do an independent study. That's also available in our department, but doing your own research project is embedded into our core curriculum. In 102W is where you write your paper, right? So this is where you get tips and help on, well, how do I analyze my data? How do I write, about my data? What am I contributing to the field? And initially it might seem daunting thinking, oh, I have to write, a 15 to 20 page paper by myself. But, we have the class is organized in a way where, at the end, you're pretty satisfied with what you put together, and you get a lot of feedback, right? So it kind of helps you get over your fears of writing. It's not a paper that you can write the day before. You have to work on it, little by little throughout the quarter to get it done. So these are the major, the 5 classes that you have to take to complete the major. And then you also have to take, a series of electives. We also have our Chicano Latino Studies Certificate Program. We offer 4. So these are History and Culture, Social Policy and Issues, Chicano Latino Community in a Global Context, and Social Determinants of Health in Latino Communities. So the last one, the Social Determinants of Health in Latino Communities, it's really gotten a lot bigger, where a lot of students are very interested in, if they're interested in working in the health arena, how to work with different patients, how to understand, their cultural mannerisms, behaviors, and how to help them, right, manage their well-being. So in a moment, we'll have one of our alumni, Jocelyn Porron, talk about, her experiences combining Chicano Latino Studies and public health, because most of the students that are in our major are double majors. But all of this information is on our website, and you can also feel free to send me an email. So which Central American faculty member in our department is a Pulitzer Prize winner? This is Professor Hector Tovar, who's written so many novels and books. I would definitely encourage you to look at them. He also used to work at the LA Times. And so he's in journalism, right? So if anybody's interested in that, you should reach out to him. We also have our honors program. So students who take advantage of the honors program usually combine it with Chicano Latino Studies 101 and 102W, and they do it at the same time. One of the things about doing the honors program is that you graduate with honors, right? So that means that you get the gold sash for graduation. You do this with a faculty member in our department or someone that's affiliated. So that means someone can guide you, and you work independently on this. So it's a year-long program. So you can combine it with 101, 102W, and in the spring, you have more time to continue working on your piece, developing it, fine-tuning it. And this is also that Jocelyn Porron can talk about. She did a fantastic honors thesis on self-employed Mexican immigrant women who worked in hair salons, right? So were entrepreneurs and started up their own business, and you know how they were handling that and how that influenced gender relations with in their family and with their husbands. Let's see, what else? Oh, so which emeritus faculty member studied Afro-Cuban rhythms and met the queen of salsa, Celia Cruz? Our professor Raul Fernandez, because of the research that he's done, he was able to, you know, meet Celia Cruz, talk with her. I wish I could have met Celia Cruz, right? But, you know, he knows a lot of musicians in Cuba. One of our housing options in the Department of Chicano Latino Studies is Casa Cesar Chavez. So here's an image of the students living there. A lot of the students that live there find that it's a very supportive environment for them where they can, you know, relate with one another and just share, you know, common experiences. And there are a lot of events, you know, that are put together in the house so that they can develop more of this kind of familism with one another. This year, the faculty member that is a stakeholder for Casa Cesar Chavez is Professor Ana Rosas. So if you have any questions about living there in the future, feel free to reach out to her. This year, the house, of course, because of the global pandemic, it's at half capacity in comparison to other years. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Professor Rosas. And then here are our undergrad academic counselors. These are the people that you can go and talk to if you have any questions about the courses, what you need to satisfy, if you're a double major, if there's any overlap. Sometimes it gets confusing when you're taking cross-listed classes. But these are the two people that you should talk to. So one is Estela Magaña and the other one is Elizabeth Cervantes, who's here with us, and she can answer some questions for you all. Elizabeth completed, I think, the minor in Chicano Latino Studies. So she's also very familiar with the courses and can help out that way. So here again is just a reminder of some of our departmental events that you are more than welcome to attend to meet the certificate requirement, or just because you're interested, right? And you want to stay involved and learn more and feed your brain. And so the last fun fact is which faculty member was awarded almost $400,000 from the NSF to study Latino social relationships? And that's our chair, Belinda Campos, right? So that's amazing research that she's been doing on cultural competency amongst Latino families and how relationships are so important and how they are a cause of happiness. So, oh, here's the song again. So remember, when you go to your classes, have this song in the background, right? So you're more kind of like, okay, I'm ready for the class. So I'll stop there. So I think the next person is it Jocelyn?
Yes, I believe so.
Jocelyn, so if you could just tell us a little bit about how it was doing the double major in Chicano Latino Studies and your experiences, taking the classes and how both of your majors informed your research and what you're doing now. So we're very proud of you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Well, hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn. I graduated back in 2019 with a double major in public health policy and Chicano Latino Studies. I also graduated with honors because I was part of the honors program as well. And I really have to say, double majoring in public health and Chicano Latino Studies was one of my favorite things that I've ever done, because I got to learn so much, not only about like the health system, but how it interconnects with the Latino community. And I felt that double majoring in Chicano Latino Studies not only helped my career goals or my career aspects, but it really helped me learn a lot about my heritage, because I did take Chicano Latino 62, and that was what really convinced me to double major in Chicano Latino Studies, because I learned the historical aspect of being Mexican. Like I learned about the Spanish War. I forgot what else, but I really loved it, and I double majored. And one of the things that also led me to become a double major is that I was interested in helping out the Spanish speaking community, specifically because on my dad's side, they are mostly diabetic, and I learned that diabetes is most prevalent within the Latino community. So I really wanted to work with them, and I know that sometimes within the healthcare system, there's a language barrier, and there's a lot of like miscommunication, especially now with the citizenship status. There's also fear that maybe if they look for resources, they might get caught, and I really like learning about that. A lot of advantages that I took with the Chicano Latino Studies is the certificate program. When I first pursued the certificate program, the social determinants of health wasn't included just yet. It was only included in, I think, my last year. I took a 5th year, and I was super happy that public health was included in it, because I took so many classes in public health, and I learned a lot of how to prepare myself in the future working with the Latino community. One class that really stood out to me was the cultural competency class, the medical anthropology class, because I did learn that as a provider, mostly in medical school, they're learned mostly to focus on like the science aspect of it, of just curing the patient. But what I really liked is that the professor taught us of how to understand the community. There's a diverse community out there. You're not only working with Spanish speaking adults, you're working with children, maybe with different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. So I really like that, because it opened my eyes to understanding like, whoa, I'm gonna be working in the healthcare field, and I do need to understand that people do come from different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, citizenship study backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So it really helped me understand, or helped me better understand the community I'm gonna be working with. I also...
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, or what you've done with Ultimed?
Oh yeah, so I was working with Ultimed. First, I was working in a research study. It's a research study helping diabetic women and to prevent diabetes in their daughters. So that was really fun. I got to work closely with the Spanish-speaking community. I also co-authored a paper with my supervisor, Ariana Martinez. She has mentioned you, Dr. Campos. So I'm really looking forward to also getting to know you as well. She's told me so much about you.
I love hearing about the synergy of things. I really appreciate that you're bringing that to the students who are here attending, that, you know, you take one class and you get involved with some things, and the next thing you know, we all kind of know each other because we're all dedicated to a similar cause.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And working with the research project really, well, first of all, I did do my honors project with my research project with the Latina entrepreneurs. And prior to that, I took the Chicanos in labor class with Dr. Flores. And I think those two aspects really helped me with the research project that I was working at, because I learned about like interviews. I learned how to kind of analyze the data. But due to COVID back in March, I was relocated to working at the call center to help out Ultimate with all the patients calling. And that was a very interesting experience because I got to learn more. I talked more with the community. A lot were afraid. A lot didn't know where to go to in terms of like where to get a COVID test, where to get information regarding COVID. Do they have COVID? Do they not? And it was a lot to handle as well, because how can I help a community out that, like, it's a pandemic? I don't have all the answers. They want answers. And I kind of felt that was pretty difficult for me. But I learned how to handle some certain situations, and I learned to empathize more with the community.
And I think you also brought the asset of your like education system that gives you like this broad understanding that you just described, from the historical to the social structural to the contemporary experience of thinking about how people are affected by all the things that are going on, including the COVID. And I bet, you know, from the community standpoint, how wonderful to have somebody who is like informed and thoughtful and knowledgeable on the other side of the phone, who is able to like help you through things. So that's like amazing work that you were doing.
Thank you. And I also learned that being a Spanish speaker really helped them out, because a lot of patients would complain that maybe their provider didn't speak like Spanish, so that was a barrier right there. Or other callers would pick up and they wouldn't really explain to the patient. And they were just really, a lot were very, very pleased to know that there's a lot of Spanish speakers out there helping them out.
Yeah, so I kind of, you know, Jocelyn is starting, it's a master's program now, right? In public health. So we're really excited for her at UCI. But I do want to allow time for Q&A that I think Alessandra was going to moderate, maybe with any questions that you might have for Jocelyn or Dr. Campos or me.
Yeah, so the floor is open to any questions you guys have. It's the Q&A section, little button at the bottom of your screen. So if any of you have any questions about like coursework, any clarifications on anything that was covered, office hours, and just any topics you have. I know Dr. Campos mentioned UCDC, opportunities like that, research opportunities. Please ask. Probably give you guys like a minute or two to submit those questions, type them in. Okay, so we have a question. Can we get into research if we are doing a minor? Would anyone like to take the answer?
Yeah, so I can answer that, and maybe Professor Belinda Campos can chime in. So you can, I mean, research is open to anyone. I think if the question is if you want to do like the honors, like your own research project with Chicano Latino Studies 101 or 102W, those are part of the major. But if you want to do your own research project, of course, you can also start building up a relationship with a professor and possibly do an independent study. And that's the way that you would start that. So usually taking a class with them, getting to know them, what their work is about, and then you would ask them, right, if they would be willing to oversee a project with you. There's also the undergraduate research opportunities program where I think it's still happening this year, right? Yeah, okay.
Kind of a way, yes.
Yeah, and then, yeah, Professor Campos, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, whether you're a major or you're a minor, you're certainly like open to do research with us. But I think that the best way to do that is to figure out what is the research that that professor is already doing. So for example, if I wanted to better understand labor and the way that, for example, aspiring Latinos get into different professions like teaching or medicine or et cetera, I would go find out what Professor Flores is up to in her current research work and try to get involved with that and see like, how can I help you? Can I interview? Can I help you with lit reviews? How can I be involved in your research? And the same with me, if you're interested in relationships and health, you know, I run a laboratory that has a lot of research assistants in it, a lot of undergraduates that participate in the research process. And so anybody who would be interested in working with my team would go through the process of applying and then getting interviewed and then sort of seeing what is the win-win, right? How do your research interests meet with what the faculty is doing in a way that you both get like a mutually beneficial learning experience out of the interaction, right? I'm able to share the expertise and the current things that I'm doing, and you're able to get the knowledge that you want in order to move forward your career goals.
Okay, so along similar lines, if you're a soc major, but you want to do the research option, so basically if you're another major, can you still participate in research?
So I think if you are a sociology major, if you're a double major, then you would definitely, you know, automatically have to take the research classes with in Chicano Latino studies. But if you're solely majoring in sociology, I think the sociology majors, you have to apply. So there is an application process, and I think they only allow a certain number of students to participate in the research program that they have there.
Just to add on to Professor Flores, so I was actually double with sociology and psychology and had a minor with Chicano Latino studies. So as Professor Flores said, for sociology honors program, you do have to apply. Usually there is an application that goes out around spring, like if you want to start it for the fall. So if you are interested in doing research in sociology for next year, just be on the lookout in spring. And the great thing about these majors is they are very like interdisciplinary. So even if you're not doing the research like specifically under Chicano Latino studies, there's still a way to like work with faculty. For instance, my research when I did the honors program was on the mental health of first generation, second generation, and third generation immigrants.
Okay, great, thank you guys. Okay, so we have another question. Can you clarify how the 101 and 102W series work?
Yeah, so I think like Elizabeth was saying, other majors, in order to do your own independent research project and it be part of, you know, your undergraduate experience, you have to apply in order to be admitted. But I think in Chicano Latino Studies, everybody that is a declared major has to do their own research project. So Chicano Latino Studies 101 and 102 are usually taken by when you're a junior or a senior. And the reason that we do this is because you kind of need, you know, this foundation, or you need to know a lot of the literature ahead of time. You need to know what other scholars are saying so that you can put together your own research project. And so this is why we say take it in your junior or in your senior year. The way that you do it is once you're a junior or a senior, you enroll in Chicano Latino Studies 101. If you're a declared major, that is open to you. And that is the class where you learn about different methodologies and you, you know, kind of figure out, well, which one is it that you're interested in? What is it that you want to do? What is the question? Are you interested in learning about like undocumented student experiences? Do you want to learn more about Latinos in the labor force? Do you want to know about Latino professionals? Do you want to do more of a media studies analysis, right? Do you want to do something on pop culture, music? Those are all possible. So in the fall quarter, that's where you learn about different methods. You figure out, what is my question? What do I want to know? You read about the literature and you kind of start to figure out, how am I going to answer this question? How am I going to do this? And then over winter break is usually when some students start to collect their data. So let's say you're going to do a survey and you pass it out to students and they have to fill it out. It'd be a good idea to start doing that you know, towards the end of the fall quarter when students are still, you know, available. Now, you know, because we are remote, maybe more people might be around and willing to do it over the break. But those are, you know, the different methods, especially right now in the time of COVID, that will be covered in Chicano Latino Studies 101 in the fall. And then in 102W, so the reason it has a W is because it's a writing intensive course. And that one is in the winter. And usually that's where you analyze your data. So whatever it is that you collected, you start to look for themes, right? And you say, okay, this is what a lot of people said, or this is what I found. And so this is where the professor that teaches that class this academic year will be Professor Laura Enriquez. And she helps you write your paper, get peer feedback, give you individual feedback. You have individual meetings with her. And then at the end you present, right, your paper. Sometimes it's individual presentations, other times it's a roundtable format. This year, I'm not sure what format they might take. It might not, they might not, you know, they might not happen. I'm not sure yet. She's still deciding. But the good thing about doing the research and the presentation is that you can put it on your resume, right? So you can put, this is the research that I've done, put the title of your paper. You can also put that under presentations, right? Because people want to see, once you get out into the work or in the work world, that you can communicate and that you can communicate your ideas clearly.
Great. And just to add to that, know that the Social Sciences Academic Resource Center can also assist you with the research process. So if you're curious, you know, how do I approach faculty within our remote environment? We can certainly help you with that through one-on-one consultations as well. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Alessandra. I think there's one more question that probably should be it, because I know we're almost out of time.
Alrighty, so would you be able to talk some more about the certificate program and its requirements?
Yeah, so for the certificate program, all of the information is on our website, but maybe there's a way that I can also have the PowerPoint distributed to the participants that came today. But basically, for the certificate program, you would just see which one is it that you want to complete, because for each one, you have to complete at least 3 courses. One of them has to be one of our core classes, which is 61, 62, or 63, right? So those, one of the intros, and then 2 of the upper division. So it's 3 classes, and then you have to attend 3 events on campus that have to do with the Latino experience and fill out a colloquium summary form. So in the colloquium summary form, it's also on our website. You can apply for the certificate online through the website as well. But with the colloquium summary form, you just write, you know, which event you went to, what was the title, and then it has 2 questions. And the questions are, you know, what was the event about? What did they talk about? And also kind of like tying it back to what it is that you want to do, how it relates to what you're interested in. And you just do 3 events, again, 3 classes, and you have until the time that you graduate to complete the certificate. So it's not like you have to do it all in 1 year. Some students do 1 certificate, others do more than 1, but it's up to you. One of the things about them is that they're kind of like a specialization. So let's say you are in Chicano Latino Studies, a major or double majoring in something else, but you want a specialization in like health, then you could do the social determinants of health one. And you would take, you know, classes that fall under that. So some of the classes are like the psychology class, medical anthropology classes, so classes like that.
All right, perfect. Thank you everyone for attending and logging in to learn more about your department. This made me want to add Chicano Latino Studies. But there will be a follow-up email sent out. So if you'd like to learn more about your specific department, that link will be there to the website, and any other information. I know Chris has sent a link in the chat as well about the certificate program. And yeah, thank you all so much. We'll be contacting through email. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And feel free to, go see Sark and Elizabeth if you have any questions about your classes. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Sorry for the glitches in the beginning. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
I did want to point out quickly, I just put a link to the chat, but our office student affairs, we will be having drop-in virtual hours every day this week from 3 to 4 p.m. So if anyone here is interested in adding a minor and you want to know how to do that, feel free to visit us, and we will have advisors there on standby to help you. And we also have like breakout rooms to keep confidentiality.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. See you all. Remember, say a cruz as you're going to your classes to get pumped.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all. Take care.